afternoon, Roger. Lovely to engage with you today. This is number 7, I believe, of our CloudTrade TV podcasts. Just to talk to the market about what we do and why we have a solution that is very different in the market. And I've chosen a subject for us to discuss today in this fireside chat entitled Business Process Automation. And anybody listening will think, wow, that's a very broad subject. You know, it covers a whole range of different areas of a business. And I suppose we should put it into context around what CloudTrade do. And typically our focus is around processing of finance documents like, you know, invoices or inbound orders, documents of that type. So really just get your view in terms of, you know, for the listeners, if you could put into context your understanding of business process automation and how CloudTrade in our service can help businesses in their journey to delivering full BPA.
Great, Stephen. Always great to catch up with you. You know, both you and I have a lot of experience in this area. It's one of my favorite subjects, unfortunately, because I've spent most of my life helping organizations solve some of their problems with business process automation. And I think if we look historically, the way the markets have moved in the last sort of 20, 25 years with the advent of faster, smarter technology, both you and I together have helped many organizations achieve what they see as business process automation. Now, that means many things to many different people.
Absolutely.
It can range from, as you say, finance documents, to order documents, to order acknowledgements, to processing website orders. And for CloudTrade, it's really about helping people achieve straight through capture of data that needs to be processed in an end engine. And what I mean by that, Steve, is if we as a company can help companies automate those repeatable manual intensive tasks that revolve around capturing data, we're doing the right job as far as I can see with those organizations.
Okay. That's interesting. So if you think about the modern world that we live in today, you know, with smart devices, our mobile phones, you know, you and I probably started with Blackberries and what have you, but the world has moved on, and people don't use faxes or very rarely these days and so on. So I suppose it begs the question, an invoice, you know, if I'm trading with somebody, invoices are my lifeblood. You know, if I don't send my invoice, my goods or services, I don't get paid, I haven't got cash flow. Why aren't these automatically transacted? You know, why do we need business process automation? Isn't this part of the normal world today?
A great point. And I'd like to say, yes, it is, or most people think it is. But unfortunately, a lot of people use old technology to try and capture that data. And one of our greatest one-liners within CloudTrade is we provide data that people can trust. And because people are getting bad data, you put bad data into a process and you get bad data out at the end of the process. And when we look at the areas of business process automation for organizations, they're always looking to gain a little additional benefit from what they're doing. They're doing it either because as a partner of ours, they might want to try and enable a bit of technology to provide straight through capture and processing for their own product. Or if it's a direct customer, what a direct customer wants to do is they want to remove all those inefficiencies out of the process. I mean, both you and I know that the cost to process an invoice, if it's automated, can be as little as $2 to $3. Excuse me, talking in the American vernacular there. Vernacular. But we know that other organizations are spending $20, $30, $50 per invoice to process that. And that's because of the inconsistencies, not only in the capture process, but also in the automation of that process. And that's where we really add value into it. And, you know, most organizations will make that great commitment to put in a procure to pay or a source to pay solution or an invoice automation solution. And what we find is they put all that effort and invest all that money in doing that. But what lets them down? It's the capture of the data that needs to go into the process that lets them down.
So Roger, that's really interesting when you talk about the true costs to process a document. And
Yeah,
like, you've said, you and I have had many debates with people, and, I've engaged with businesses that have, I suppose, 5, 8, 10 years ago, the norm was, well, actually, let me take what I'm doing, the old favorite term of, I'll take my mess and I'll do it somewhere else for less money.
yeah,
The CFOs of the world today, that doesn't cut it anymore, because, with all of the challenges that we've had that we're aware of with, people, things like Sarbanes-Oxley, Enron, and all of the other scandals, you can outsource a process, but you can't outsource the responsibility. So having the ability to embrace technology, and to your point, which is really valid, about understanding that the data that's being transacted, being received and processed, I can trust it. So when my auditors come in, I know I'm going to get a clean bill of health. When the tax authorities do a review, I've got a clean bill of health. As a CFO,
yeah,
I can sleep well at night. You can throw robotic process automation at processing invoices,
yeah,
but unfortunately, if the data you give to a robot is incorrect, you've got a dumb robot, and that
yeah,
causes problems. So, you just mentioned to me, looking at 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks, pounds, euros, whatever the currency is that we're
yeah,
operating in. And I often hear people say to me, but I can have it scanned and keyed in, India, Malaysia, or China for, a few dollar cents. But
yes,
that's not the end of the process, is it, Roger? Be interested. You've talked about this, the accuracy and the ability to trust data. So I started off this debate around the unique approach that CloudTrade has. I think in the context of business process automation, just talk about, if you would, how we are able to deliver trusted data, as opposed to, I don't know, an OCR capability, or other technologies that are transacting invoices, as an example.
yeah, yeah. Happy to, Steve. And I've spent some time doing this, and I'll talk about, in fact, one of our customers who have an OCR type channel. They are in the BPO space, and their OCR channel did capture data. But once they
Okay.
captured the data, it had to go into a manual process that was anywhere between 15 and 45 minutes long for a human operative to go in and check the data, change the data, manipulate the data, put it through some revalidation, and then submit it again. And that process, depending on the size of the document, as I said, could take anywhere between 10, 15 minutes up to 45 minutes. By the use of BPA and with the smart rules that we write within our technology, we are able to take what that human operative does, and then we write rules so it mimics that human operator. We took that time down to less than 6 minutes by just writing and affecting a set of rules. Now, we talk about business process automation. That's what we do. We've been doing it for 10 years, in excess of 10 years. RPA is the new kid on the block. We know with RPA over the last 4 years, we've seen this steady rise and this steady interest in what it's able to do. And many of the RPA vendors have also created their own capture bots within their technology, which is
Hmm.
great, but it can't do the BPA part, which is manipulate, develop, write rules specifically the way a human being does. Because one rule doesn't fit all for an RPA bot. With CloudTrade, we can actually mimic some of those. So it's pretty much standard across the whole enterprise we're deploying the solution to.
Fantastic. So again, just putting that into context, if we receive that human readable document,
Yeah,
we extract the relevant fields, header and line, we apply the rules that you've described, because every receiving application is going to have its own rule set.
yeah,
That's part of the extraction, is the trusted data piece, because we do it with 100% accuracy. We apply the rules, and therefore what we export can post with no human intervention. What we used to aim to deliver in the old days was what we call straight through processing.
yeah,
Fantastic, and that really is true BPA. And if that document, for argument's sake, is a non-PO document, or we've got an application, I suppose, then that's where RPA is great, because an RPA, the robot can say it's been programmed to, it's got the accurate data and it needs to go off and validate something, or it needs to go off and check and enrich some data for the downstream process. That's what robots are really good at doing.
Yeah.
So, CloudTrade in that regard absolutely support and enhance the RPA journey that anybody's delivering on in today.
Yes, almost certainly. And I mean, what I'd like to add there just at the end of this section is that most organizations are struggling really hard to keep up with business as normal mode. And
Okay.
so they make do with existing processes because they've always done it that way, or they've always wanted to do that way. What business process automation is allowing people today is take a step back, try and see where efficiencies can be made in their businesses, and what those efficiencies will deliver to the bottom line. I would think if you spoke to any CFO or any finance director or finance manager and said, do you know how much it's costing you to process your invoices or your orders? Very few of them would have an idea. But when you present a figure of, is it $50? Is it $40? Is it $20? And you times that by the volume of documents they've got coming,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
brings into sharp focus that they're leaving money on the table, that they can suddenly make increases in efficiency that's going to save them money. They're going to be able to pay their suppliers faster. They're probably going to be able to make and get some payment discounts as a result of that. And to my mind, if you're undertaking a change management program, or you're trying to do an automation agenda within an organization, this is one key area you should go straight into. Now, the difficulty is most people don't want to scratch that itch, because the process is working, as we know. The biggest challenge for most people to get in there is changing what they do currently, because it's working. It's either been outsourced or they're doing it well enough in-house to do it. But we know once we engage and we start mining and discussing with organizations, we just know that there's a huge ROI for customers and our partners to get as a result.
Fantastic. So that's a lovely segue into the next section I'd like to bring up. But just before we do that, so the true automation piece, the reduction in touch points, the reduction therefore in the cost to process a document is significant, and also the huge benefit, because CloudTrade is a fully managed software as a service model. Implementation can be rapid. So one of the messages that we give to our prospective customers is, we've worked out what it's costing you today and the delta if you move over to our service, and this is a saving. Every month you delay in making a decision to move is costing you that amount of money. So there's a compelling reason to move into this environment. There's a compelling reason because it's embracing leading edge technology, but also I think you were just mentioning about the change in automation. So as we've seen with the COVID-19, the pandemic around the world, mail rooms have been closed because there's nobody there to open the envelope and process the piece of document that's included. Everybody's moved to the digital environment, which is absolutely where CloudTrade sit. So, Roger, we've talked about where CloudTrade can provide automation, reducing the costs, improving the time frame, what we like to call time to value or speed to value, because with us, we're a SaaS model and implementation can be very quick. So this is where we are today in terms of our capability, but the market moves on rapidly. We talked about Blackberries and old technologies. Well, if technology is doing anything, it's growing at a faster pace. And CloudTrade as a vendor in this market needs to keep abreast of that. We need to keep ahead of our competition. So, I talked about before, aren't all businesses automatically connected electronically today? Well, the reality is they're not. So for CloudTrade to help that move forward, we've got 20,000 sending parties and probably 1,000 receiving parties on our network today. What are our plans then? It would be great for you to explain to the listeners about what our plans are to stay ahead of technology. What are we doing in terms of additional artificial intelligence, if that's the right term to use these days, to drive our product forward?
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, Steve. And just to reiterate, CV19 has given us the opportunity with many organizations to engage with them, but it's also made them look internally at themselves, to look at the BPA agenda, which has been great. Yeah. And that's made us look at ourselves too as an organization. We've had to. And the agility of products out there and the speed to market of those products means that we have to move with the field. And what we've done as an organization, traditionally, we offer a SaaS model. We do all of the work. It's, services are provided by us, as you know. But the beauty is we've got a very exciting development called Project Grandalf.
Okay.
And
the wizard, hey?
It's the wizard. It's the wizard with a big fat top hat. Yeah, Project Grandalf, son of Grammatica,
Right.
or grandfather of Grammatica. I'm not sure which at the moment, but it's really truly exciting.
Sorry,
because...
just for the listeners, Grammatica is our core product. Is our CTO Richard Devlin created the application, the service we deliver, and it was affectionately called Grammatica. So that's our internal name.
Oh, sorry, I thought you might. Yeah, okay, that's great. So we've been working on a project with the Brains Trust of CloudTrade development team, and it's very exciting. The plan is for a remote service that the end user can use that will take in an invoice. It will be mapped to a vast historical library that CloudTrade keep of invoice sets and invoice documents and other documents that we keep, and it will find the best match on that document for what you're trying to capture. So you might be looking for, let's just say 14 standard key areas, and it would capture invoice number, invoice date, address, supplier name, maybe some of the products on it. And what it does is the system itself will go away, it will capture the data, and then it will represent back to the user a set of questions through a workflow that we've got in our product saying, I think this is invoice date, can you confirm it? And you say yes or no. I think this is invoice number, can you confirm it? Yes or no. If it automatically captures the date well, and it can validate it, you won't see that question. But what it allows us to do, it allows us to put the onus on the enablement of the technology back on the customer or the partner that's actually using it. So the example there, Steve, is we talked about someone gets, so just think about it, someone in accounts payable, I've got this invoice come in, it's got to be paid now. You've got to put it into the system, but it's a 3-page invoice. You've got to put in, so someone's got to type that in. That's going to take someone 15, 20 minutes. With our technology, they'll be able to just send it into our platform. It will return back to them within less than 15 minutes. They just answer a few questions. It will go back into the system. The system will remember it and process it and send it back to them as validated data. Very, very quick. Once they've done it, they don't have to do it again.
Right. So that model leverages our 100% data accuracy, data extraction. We may need, as you say, 14 or 44 different fields off a document, and we extract what we can in first pass, presents it to a user, they confirm, or they add in the missing information. It learns behind the scenes. It creates the rule, the mapping that we would do manually historically. It's now doing that automatically, and it exports the required data. The next time an invoice like that comes in, it utilizes that rule that the user has set up automatically. That's amazing.
Yep. And if the supplier changes the invoice, if it comes in and it's changed, we'll pick it up and we'll send another email back in saying, we think something's changed on this invoice. Can you just confirm it? They say yes. The rule remembers her, goes to the AI logic, and it's there. It's done.
Fantastic. AI on steroids, hey?
Yeah. Definitely.
Sounds really exciting. I know I've been involved in behind the scenes on some of the work that we'll be doing on that, and we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be a game changer, and as I mentioned before, it's going to keep us ahead of the curve for our competition, because we are ahead of the curve with the header in line with the accuracy levels and the fact that we guarantee the 100% accuracy. Nobody else in the market today does that, so this is going to take it to the next level. Really exciting.
Definitely.
Roger, I think we've probably come to the end of our time slot for today. I think the underlying message really is, don't hesitate, listeners. If you've got a need to process inbound human readable documents and you want data you can trust, come to CloudTrade. We'll give you a rapid ROI and a service that's absolutely best in class and leading edge. Roger, as always, it's been a delight talking to you this morning. I'm sure there'll be, or this afternoon, shall I say, I'm sure there'll be other opportunities for us to catch up. Thanks for your time, and we'll speak again soon.
Good to see you, Steve. Cheers, mate.
Take care. Bye.